Man, torrential downpours all week this week. It's been kind of crazy, but we've been able to manage pretty good so far. We only have 17 left on our schedule, and really, guys, I attribute that to just not overbooking our days and then not overbooking our week. We leave margin on each day, and then we leave margin on the days of the week by not working on Friday. Really works out good for us. But I wanted to talk real quick about one-time cuts. We all experience those requests as lawn care business owners. I want to just talk about maybe some of the advantages and disadvantages, and then also state my case as to why here at my business at Florida Turf Pros, I don't do one-time cuts. I mean, we just don't do it. The rare exception would be, when you're first starting out for us, like I did it whenever I first started out to boost revenue, and then during the winter, sometimes we will take on one-time cuts and cleanup type work during the winter. But I want to just talk about some of the advantages really quick of one-time cuts, and then talk about how, in my opinion, the disadvantages, they greatly outnumber the advantages. So basically, the two advantages to doing one-time cuts is one, boosting revenue, and then possibly getting your foot in the door for a new client. That second portion of getting your foot in the door with a new client, in my experience, it's not even worth it. Like 9 times out of 10, it's somebody moving out of the house. It might be a renter who's neglected the yard. It could be a military family moving, or somebody who's just neglected their yard. But very, very rarely is it somebody who's going on vacation and they want their lawn to be maintained on a one-time basis. That's just been my experience. So saying that possibly getting your foot in the door as having them as a recurring client, to me, that's not even really, shouldn't even really count as a benefit. And what you're left with is just boosting revenue. Okay, so I want to state my case as to why we don't do one-time cuts here at Florida Turf Pros, and why boosting revenue, why that simple advantage is not worth all the other advantages. Again, in my opinion, the disadvantages that you have to take on by doing one-time cuts. The first is, I've made it a priority. I do not want to chase a dollar here with our business. My goal is to build a sustaining business of recurring revenue. That was the interesting thing to me about the lawn maintenance and this service-based work, is that it's a recurring revenue model, okay? And whenever you take on one-time cuts, it basically just negates the fact that, this business is set up for success to be recurring maintenance clients. And if you're chasing a dollar, just trying to do odds and ends here and there, you're not building your business to the point where you're taking full advantage of what the lawn care industry is capable of giving you, which is recurring maintenance clients. And it's my opinion that, if I have time to go out and do a one-time cut, then I have time to be marketing to gaining more full maintenance clients, okay? The second reason, let's say you do a one-time cut for 50 or 75 bucks, or who knows, you're taking away from your clients who are giving you $1,000 a year. If you have a client, who's been on your roster and they're your client and you're trying to work somebody else into the schedule, a lot of the times your client, their schedule might get changed a little bit, or you're having to work somebody else into a spot they're not normally at, and it just creates a little bit of friction there. And it's just, to me, it's just not worth taking an extra 50 bucks or 70 bucks, with possibly, not taking care of your $1,000 client the way that you should. Again, I don't feel like it's worth it to me and what I'm trying to do here. Another reason that I don't like doing one-time cuts is that, you're not familiar with the property. It usually takes a few times to get, good with the layout of the property, understand where all the sprinkler heads are. There could be stuff underneath, trash and debris, maybe some metal pieces or something that you're just not familiar with. It's just, you're not familiar with the property, and you just run the risk of increasing your liability, okay? And then finally, and again, this is just my experience, the one-time cut, it's just difficult to I guess, get that relationship going with that client. You're not going to have a relationship with a one-time cut client, but it just leaves the door open for more pickiness, of like, oh, well, I thought you were going to do it this way, for this one-time cleanup or cut or whatever. And it's just, I've just found that for me, I like having a relationship, an ongoing relationship with our clients, okay? So those are some of the reasons that I don't like doing one-time cuts here in my business. Something else that I wanted to touch on really quick is, I get the question a lot, well, if you don't do contracts at your business, then how do you keep people from doing one-time cut? Just like signing up with you, you go in to cut their yard, and then they canceling you right after. Well, the way that I handle that is that whenever I send out the estimate through Yard Book, and they click approve on the estimate, in the comment section, they are agreeing to a 6 cut minimum. I mean, we have that built into our estimate. So, we list out all the services that we're going to do for them. And, by approving this estimate, you agree to 6 services on your lawn. And people are not going to put a credit card into, the system if they're not serious about lawn service. So that has really cut. I've only gotten jammed up maybe once or twice by somebody just having us cut their lawn one time and then canceling. And even then, they really had a good excuse for it. So, I was able to kind of work around it. But that's the way I handle that. We have a 6 cut minimum here, even though we don't do contracts. We do ask that people stay on a schedule, and that keeps us from doing those one-time cuts. So just to recap, I don't like one-time cuts because you're not familiar with the property. That little bit of boosting of revenue, it's not worth it whenever you could go out and then gain, one client who's a recurring maintenance client who's the equivalent of like 20 or 30 one-time cuts, if that makes sense. Like one recurring maintenance client is worth all that, and it just trumps it. And then finally, I just don't like sacrificing, I just don't want to put my clients on the back burner, for somebody who's not going to be with us. So that's the reason I don't do it. And the times that I will do a one-time cut, again, I did some one-time cuts in the beginning of the business, when you're just trying to stay afloat, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. And then during the winter, whenever you're trying to, boost revenue up, that's another good time to do it. But the mindset that I would encourage you to have, and again, there's nothing wrong with one-time cuts. It's just the way that I think about it is that, again, I'm not trying to chase a dollar. I don't want to chase a dollar. I want to build a business with recurring maintenance clients. And these one-time cuts, you're chasing pennies here and there, and even if you do make an extra $10,000 or $15,000 in these, one-time cuts over the course of a year, again, just a handful of clients that are recurring maintenance, they will earn you that without having to do, hundreds of one-time cuts. You can just pick up a few extra clients, and then you've gained that revenue. So that's the reason that we don't do one-time cuts here at my business. And if you're considering doing it, if you're getting those phone calls, maybe just thinking about it in a different way, maybe this video will help you out a little bit and kind of navigating that stuff. Good luck, guys.